Hello and welcome to Not Without My Sister, the podcast about us, Rosemary McCabe. And...
Oh, sorry, Beatrice McCabe.
Jesus Christ. Let's do it again.
I was horrified by the about us.
Today we thought we would talk about embarrassing physical mishaps. Basically, all the times we've fallen over or otherwise been let down by our bodies.
Yeah, I just call it like being in a body and not being a gymnast.
Ain't that the truth? Right? You know what I was thinking the other day as I tripped over a paving stone for about the 400 millionth time in my life? But I didn't fall over, right?
Okay.
And I realised that I feel like, and this might be a complete invention in my head, but I feel like when I discovered weightlifting, which I haven't done in about a year, I started to fall less often than I had previously.
Is that true?
And I think it's because I kind of got slightly more confident in or aware of my body somehow, that like I can stop myself falling now. Whereas before it was like I would do a tiny trip and then go tumbling over the path and have to be picked up by like a random man on Parnell Street, as I told the story of before.
Is that true?
Crying.
Or like, is it just that your weightlifting was a pretty short period of time in your life? So like by comparison, not that many things happened in that period of time. Just wondering.
Excuse me. My weightlifting was the longest thing that I've ever done in my life. It lasted about 3 years.
That's not the longest thing you've ever done in your life.
Oh my God, I don't think I've ever done any kind of hobby or activity for longer than that. Other than like looking at Instagram. That doesn't count.
Writing.
That doesn't count either. Because that's my job, like.
You gave up your job to be a weightlifting fitness person.
A weightlifting fitness person, a personal trainer.
Yeah, you gave up your job to be that. So, I mean, it was like, I don't think that it became your job. So if you're dismissing writing, I don't think you can include weightlifting.
Well, I suppose I feel like writing is more my job as vocation.
Okay.
If you know what I mean, than weightlifting was.
But when you weightlifted, etc., you gave it up for a while. Because you gave it up because you were then a personal trainer.
I gave up writing for a while, you mean?
So you need to exclude those months of time and then say it was 2 months long.
Anyway, listen, this is about physical calamities, physical comedy. But also falling and otherwise injuring ourselves. Have you ever broken anything?
I actually have not, Rosemary.
Oh.
I've never broken anything. I've never
Except for the bone on my back?
No, and Mom has corrected you that was not actually a bone in your back. I have not broken anything. I've never sprained anything. But you know what? Why? Because I've never actually done anything physically that would ever require the breaking of anything.
Beatrice, anytime I have broken or sprained anything, I sprained my ankle several times because I was obsessed with those platform shoes.
Oh.
And I used to wear them to school all the time and then go like running down the hall and go careening off the side of my ankle.
Oh, I did. Careening off the side of my ankle. I did have like a load of physiotherapy. Oh, that one time I discovered physical freedom when I was jogging. I was running. I took up the, whatever it's called.
Couch to 5K.
I was about to say bed
to 5K. Don't go into marketing. No, we should call this bed to 5K.
Why not go
it's
into
really
marketing?
going to catch on.
That would actually be more accurate for me. It was bed to 5K, lying down to 5K. And
you got to about 2K.
Excuse me. I got to many Ks, but the problem was I never experienced this thing that, runners call like, runner's
high.
Euphoria, whatever. I was like, I never experienced. I was always like, when is this actually going to happen? And I was running and I was always miserable. I was always uncomfortable. I was always hating it. And then one day I ran in Brooklyn. I ran past, I hit the 2K mark, and I ran past the Brooklyn IKEA and I ran onto the docks and I was smelling the dirty fish air and I was running and I was like seeing the sky and I was like, I think I'm starting to feel it. I was like, I'm starting to feel really good. And I swung around a corner with a potentially too much gay abandon and I threw my knee out. Right? I literally swung around a corner. I really was like, my body is amazing. It's doing amazing things. I was just swung around the corner so fast. Not so fast, probably.
Yeah, well, like as you're saying running, I'm sure this was jogging.
Excuse me. Yes, definitely jogging. But Anyway, whatever weird like swing around the corner that I did over enthusiastically, I whopped my knee out of, not whapped, I whopped my knee out of position. And I had to go for like 6 months of physical therapy. And then
it affected your ankle as well, didn't it? Then eventually.
No, that was actually a different thing. My ankle was nothing to it. My ankle just started to act up. And but I do remember like many times I have fallen off a high heel, but it's always been in the same way, in the same ankle. Like I've always felt like a weird pain in my right ankle where I say that now and I'll be like, I'll go to check the boot later on with my left, one of my ankles. And but I've noticed like multiple times wearing high heels that I've gone to fall or whatever, and it's always been the same ankle.
Yeah.
And the same weird kind of pain. And it never really became anything. But then over time, I couldn't really even walk more than kind of a 10-minute walk. My ankle would swell up massively like when I was pregnant, and I would have to put it up on a cushion and deflate it and all this kind of stuff. And so I had a boot. I wore a boot for like 6 months. But I went to the doctor and did this specialist, and he was like, well, we can give you a steroid shot. Except I was pregnant. We can do this. We can do that. We can go in and cut your tendon and blah, blah, blah. But it seems fine now, right? And but every x-ray, he was like, we don't see anything. Like, we don't see anything. But we can do all of these surgeries. And it seemed a bit like, I don't really know.
A bit experimental when you're like, we don't see anything, but we can do the surgery just in case.
I don't know if I want to do a surgery if I can't see it. But like, I had pain for it. Like, I couldn't walk I couldn't like walk for long periods of time for
a couple of years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like a year and a half, 2 years.
No, I would say 3 or 4 years, yeah. And I still get it now, but like it's not like, now I live in Indiana, so I don't really, I mean, I drive everywhere, so I don't get a load of long walks, but I want to, I feel like when the kids are a little bit bigger, I'll walk again. You're like, I'll walk again.
I will walk again.
I will walk again.
I will make it. When you were saying you've never done anything, like any physical activity that could result in an injury, Beatrice, I broke my arm in 2 places getting the takeaway menu from the neighbours. Doesn't take much.
Oh, Rosemary, you also broke Mom's leg.
It was her hand.
Or you broke Mom's hand.
She broke her own hand, but
you broke Mom's hand because you wanted to take away.
She was also getting me a takeaway. She was crossing the road in Rathmines, fresh from getting me my delicious Bombay. I miss Bombay Pantry so much. Fresh from getting me my Bombay Pantry, and she tripped and fell and broke a bone in her hand.
You are like Stephen King's, what's that movie with the girl with all the telepathy? You are telepathically breaking Mom's hand. The minute
Carrie?
she gets you, no, the other one. The minute she gets you that food, you break. Actually, that doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
I would immediately be like unbreaking her hand.
Unbreak. That's the exact same bird
You'd
brain.
be exactly unbreaking her hand to bring you that food.
I also broke my toe. I broke my little toe skiing.
I can't even. Joking. Where were you skiing?
I was skiing in Austria.
What?
Oh my God, you don't know about this. I got sent, when I worked at the Irish Times, I got offered this trip.
Oh, just as well, because I was about to say, Mom, I was just about to say, just to tell you, Mom, I can't take any more stories where Rosemary's the favourite. And if Rosemary secretly
got sent skiing.
Rosemary secretly got sent skiing to Russia. Austria.
Russia.
I was going to be raging. When I got sent to horse school, Rosemary got sent to ski school. I was going to be raging.
Anyway, listen. Get off the Red Sparrow trip. So I got offered this trip skiing to Austria to do a review of it for the Irish Times. You were so entertained by yourself.
Well, no, sorry, go on.
Wish there was a way of turning off your microphone. Just mute you for a couple of minutes while I finish the story.
You don't wish that.
I do. But anyway, so I'd never been skiing before, right? I did no lessons coming up to this. I was like, I'll just learn.
You didn't want to prep for this.
Oh no.
You weren't somebody who likes to get ready for things.
Shut up.
So, Alla, when I turn up with a notebook, you go, what are these things? I'm like, they're called notes. That.
Be quiet, please.
Sorry.
So I went on this trip skiing, but what I didn't realise was I'm not a gracious person when I fall and embarrass myself. Like, I don't really possess the ability to laugh at myself. This is shocking to you. I'm sure you're making a face like you're very shocked.
You do possess that ability now. I would say that 10 years ago you didn't possess it.
Probably, yeah.
I'm
a bit closer to possessing it now. But Beatrice, the point is, right, if you're skiing and you're completely on your own and you've no mates there, so you've no one to laugh at you when you fall over, you've no one to pick you up. Oh my God, I just felt like crying every single... I hated it so much.
If a tree falls in the forest...
What?
If a tree falls in the forest, did it even fall? Does it even exist?
Everyone could see me falling, Beatrice.
Oh, you just said nobody was there to see you.
nobody was there to help me. None of them, like nobody I knew. Everybody was there with their own friends. So I would fall over and they'd look at me pityingly, and then I'd try and struggle to get up again.
Goggles.
Beatrice, you can still see people's facial expressions. You can see their mouths as well. You can see when they're like, poor Rosemary's fallen for the 7th time. And then on about day 3, I got put into the remedial beginners group. And then I had a great time.
Oh, well, I try to be very careful about what I say on this podcast in terms of relations to my work, right? But I was going to say, but my boss has a home somewhere near a ski something, right? In a ski area. And they're constantly extremely...
Geographical excellence from Beatrice.
But there are constantly like very generous, conversations around how one day we might end up going for a ski there. And like, I have to say, like, as much as I'm like absolutely so would love it, it sounds phenomenal. I'm like absolutely terrified. Only today I was thinking, if we went ensemble as with my colleagues, how would I feel about being like absolutely useless? Like
not
everybody
good.
else, I guarantee.
Let me tell you would feel not good. Do you remember when...
Would it be okay if I was constantly crying?
No. Do you remember when you tried to go on Nash's hoverboard?
No, I didn't. I only said to Nash yesterday, I've never gone on this.
At Christmas, you put one foot on it and then nearly fell over, I think, at the thought of it, and then refused to try it.
But do you remember that Dad went on the hoverboard?
Oh my God.
Dad was like, what age is Dad? 71?
72.
72. I've got this.
Desperate.
Absolutely. And he's like,
he had got it though.
Well, maybe he would have maybe he would have been able to stay on it if he had any more meat in his bones, like a la a year and a half ago, where he was a bit more solid.
Dad.
No, but I just want to say, like, now he's emaciated himself into pilot land. It was a bit like a flyweight just hanging on the hoverboard.
He's like a geriatric jockey now.
That was good.
Poor Dad.
The hoverboard like barely felt any weight on it.
Oh God,
he was going around, but he was going around the room delighted with himself.
It was so slow as well.
But next thing you know, all we see is like oblivion.
Oh my God, I was desperate.
A clang, and Dad bashing his head off the arcade. But
I was following him around. I was filming him, and I was following him around going,
do you have that film, Rosemary?
Well, I stopped right before he fell off.
Do you have the film that you could share, Rosemary?
Oh yeah, I probably do somewhere.
And then he jumps up and he's giving himself like a massive whack, an almighty whack on the head, as he would say. And he jumps up, and of course, in true Dad form, like it was just so like me and so like you. He's like, I'm fine. And you know what he really wants to be is like, fuck off, fuckers.
Yeah.
I'm like,
don't touch
agony.
me.
I'm in agony. He's like, I'm fine. Oh, it just walloped my head off that arcade. Oh, it's like, that was quite the fall.
Oh my God, it was terrible.
Oh, poor
I literally
Dad.
thought that was it. He was done for.
Oh God, Rosemary.
Whacked his head off that arcade, Beatrice. Whacked.
Oh,
you
sorry.
sicko. Sorry, why are you trying to bring Dad and whap into the same sentence?
I literally thought that's what you said.
Disgusting.
I
honestly don't know how. Like, we talk about mom falling, and you managed to have totally excised from your memory. You fell outside a nightclub and naced down some steps at one point, and there was another point at which you fell.
Remind me about that.
I don't know, you fell off your shoe or something, or like broke your shoe. Did your shoe get caught in a grate or something? And there was a time you fell over in Achill and bashed your face off a rock.
Oh yeah, well that was actually awful. In fairness to me, like,
was that on a college trip?
Yeah.
Also very embarrassing.
Well, that's more what I meant. I didn't mean physically. Oh. I meant like I was in NCAD. I was with the NCAD. No, I was in NCAD and I was in, don't know, second year, third year. Maybe it was at fourth year. Who knows? I was in
fourth year.
I was in some year.
Fourth year is the year you learn to go lake swimming and do an excellent English accent.
I was in.
That's a deep reference
in NCAD. Okay, no, I got it, Rosemary. But you're probably expecting me to say Hugh Grant, are you? I was in NCAD in some year. Must have been first year, actually, now that I think about it, because like it was first year.
Was it Achill or was it the Aran Islands?
I was on the Aran Islands. And I had been so looking forward to this trip, Rosemary, let me tell you, because I was like, finally, I'm going to meet or force the man of my dreams in isolation to snog me, basically.
What?
I was like, he will not have escape. He will not have access.
Which man was this?
Oh, any man. I was like, he will not have access to a punnet. That's a strawberry thing. Sorry, what's the thing? What are those tiny ships that people used to travel on?
A pontoon?
Oh, yes. No. Is that what it's called? Like the tiny ones
in
Ireland?
A kayak?
No, Rosemary, in Ireland.
No idea what you're talking
Anyway, he will have access to no transportation.
Probably would have
basically.
had access to a punnet.
Anyway, we were all having a great time and it was fab. We were in this amazing hostel with delicious food, and actually it's pretty well known, and I should recommend it. I can't remember the name, but it'll be in the show notes. Poor Rosemary. And we were having a great time, and every single day, but the weather was desperate. Like, and every single day we would all be, sent out with our raincoats and our sketchbooks. And I mean, I actually have all the work that I did. I was looking at it the other day, and it's all these.
But that'll be worth a lot someday.
Oh, thanks. It's very lots of collages. It's all very grey, is what I was going to say. There's lots of like greyness. Anyway, and we were on the edge of the cliff, but like actually it occurred to me. I mean, I have such a massive fear of heights. I can't even. I don't know why I was so near. I think I was near the edge of the cliff. Actually, now it was probably about 20 miles away from the edge of the cliff. It seemed extremely close to me, and the wind was roaring, etc. Anyway, we were all out, and I remember we were debating, should we go back to the hostel, or like, was the expectation, would the tutors have expected that we still stay out in this weather? Because it was lashing rain. It was terribly grim. And we were, you're drawing, you also have paper, and you're like, I don't know if this paper is going to survive. And we were having these debates, blah, blah. And I jumped up and like being, ever the life of the party, like the clown of the party. I would say always overcompensating with the hilarity, overcompensating for
God, I've never heard this full story. I just thought you were walking along and tripped.
No. I would say overcompensating for like the weight, the looks, the insecurity, the whatever. I jumped up to say something hilarious and literally tripped on this tiny hidden rock under the grass. Face forward, slammed onto a massive standing stone and just slid on my nose, like down. I think I might have gone unconscious. I don't know. Slid all the way down this standing stone and just like lay there. And I remember like everybody came over to pick me up, and me, I'm like, I was literally like, get away from me. But I think I was unconscious, so it's probably fine. And I had a massive. You
had a cut lip, didn't you? Like a
no. It was my nose actually. I had a massive cut, like a slit in my nose. Oh. And it bled and it bled and it bled, and they were all like freaked out, and they brought me back, and and I also swelled really badly. So we went back and my face swelled massively up. And then there was all this conversation about would they airlift me out or would they not, and like for a day or two they were discussing would they, but like I really looked terrible. Rosemary, you're making faces now.
No.
I still have a scar on my face now.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, would they airlift me out or would they not? Blah 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 blah. Because somebody apparently had gone out drinking the night previously and had been sitting on a stone wall, when there's like Irish,
like dry stone wall,
dry stone walls, and had fallen backwards into a field that was like 10 feet deeper than the road was, and had to be airlifted off the island apparently. And there was a lot of conversation. Would I need to be airlifted? Would I not?
Would you ever take a trip with students? Ever? No.
I don't know. We'll ask Miss Pierce. According to our English teacher, according to Miss Pierce, like they were great crack, but also insane. I'm sure, like, because you're responsible for these kids who are now taking advantage to do everything they've ever wanted to do in their lives, right?
I remember her on a school trip once singing an incredible version of David Gray's "Say Hello, Wave Goodbye" on the bus.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, she's the best. Anyway, so lots of conversation, and meantime, I was then back in the hostel in my tiny little bunk bed. And the thing was, this hostel that we stayed at was I think owned by, I'm not sure where he was from, an African guy. I'm not sure where he was from, but amazing food, like really exotic, delicious. And I, of course, could now eat nothing. My lips were swollen to within an inch of their lives. And all I could do, I couldn't chew. All I could do was suck food through a straw. So all I could do for the next week, however many days we were there, felt like a very long time, but like 3 days.
I think it was only a long weekend. I think it was 4 days.
Was
or something.
Suck, pureed strawberry through a straw and make jokes. And like I remember there were lots of jokes, and I would be like, really what I meant was, I am miserable. Where's my boyfriend?
Why didn't they just send you home on the bus or something?
We were on the Aran Islands, Rosemary. There is no bus.
No, but you can get a boat from the Aran Islands back onto the mainland.
Rosemary,
and then get a bus.
I could barely see through my swollen, like, clamped shut eyelids. I probably would have been like, oh, this is the bus, she says as she jumps into Beatrice, the trash can.
I think Mum would have come and got you.
Mum was not remotely concerned. She'll be denying this now, but she was not remotely concerned. Nobody cared, Rosemary. Nobody cared.
So the moral of the story is you didn't score.
Surprisingly, I didn't. I think had it not been for the straw, it would have been good. No, of course I didn't. It was an absolute disaster.
So that was just one time that your body and lack of coordination let you down.
It was just it was just another time where I ended up being like the humour of the party. Like that's always what I was. You know, like
it doesn't really sound like that was that funny though.
What?
Doesn't sound like that was that funny.
People found it very entertaining.
But sorry, I want to talk about one time that my body let me down. Myself and my ex-boyfriend were on a romantic trip to Paris. This is a different boyfriend to the boyfriend I broke up with after Paris. This was actually, you know what? This is the first time I'd gone back to Paris since then because I took against
embarrassing.
it.
I'm just channeling mom here. She'd be like, are you going to tell us the story about like where you were naked with you, like you stayed the night with? Do you know what? Actually, I shouldn't even because like mom let you stay the night with every boyfriend in our house.
How did you go from I was embarrassed to you were naked?
Oh, because
I haven't even got to the story yet.
You were saying
you're supposed to pretend you don't know it.
No, you were about to say my body let me down.
My body let me down.
Okay,
How do you know I didn't have all my clothes on?
Unless
My body let me down.
Ferociously farting in front of him, I think your body let you down in other ways. Go on.
Anyway, it was the first time I'd gone back to Paris since that ill-fated trip where myself and my ex-boyfriend had broken up afterwards.
Oh, was that guy before this guy? Dumped was before this guy, was he?
Dumped was before. So this was.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so we were in Paris. The first time I'd gone back, I'd gone back to Paris, even thinking it was a bad omen for me. And we were staying in this Airbnb near, I think it was in Montmartre. It was actually really nice.
Was I?
Huh?
Was I not?
No. You were living in Dallas at this point.
Oh, right. Okay.
So this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Such a bummer.
Wasn't that long ago. So we were in Paris. We're staying in this Airbnb. And weirdly, when we arrived in the Airbnb, your man had left a note saying, please don't drink any of my wine. What? And you're like, you're fucking French. Your wine cost you $2.50, you scab. Like, even if we did drink a bottle of your wine.
But also, like, sorry, if you have an Airbnb, if you don't want me to drink your wine, put it in a lock-up box.
Yeah, but also, if you have an Airbnb in Paris where literally wine is cheap, buy us a bottle of wine and leave it here going, here's a bottle of wine for you. And then you're probably not going to drink the rest of the wine.
No, I mean, I would drink all the wine.
Oh, yeah, good.
I would actually drink all the wine, but I more mean, like, if you really care about your wine, don't leave it out for an Airbnb.
Yeah. So anyway, we're staying in this Airbnb and they had a beautiful claw-footed bath that looked a lot bigger than it was, let me say.
Claw-footed baths.
So do I. And we decided one night that there would be nothing more romantic than to have a bath together.
Romantique, le bain. Le bain ensemble.
Yes, Beatrice.
Romantique. As they say in The Little Mermaid.
Okay, can you please?
I can, Rosemary.
Beatrice.
Je peux.
Jesus. So we decided to be very romantic. I think there was no bubble bath either, so like there was nothing even to add a bit of slip to the bath. Yeah. Clear water.
Oh, I'm not into this.
Not a bit of slip. So anyway.
A bit of slip? What is this expression?
If you had bubble bath, it's a bit slippy. I'm just saying for
where
we're going with the story, the bubble bath might have made it easier. We almost injured ourselves anyway. So we got in the bath and it turned out actually as we got into the bath, I frequently underestimate the size of my own body, I think. So as we got in the bath and the water began to...
You have the opposite of body dysmorphia. You have body dysmorphia but like the opposite direction from most people.
Yeah. In a good way. Like Brandon's son, who's 5, put on a jumper of mine the other day and I was literally like, how is that jumper so enormous? I was like, what? Is that my jumper? Anyway, listen, this story's taking so long.
Sorry.
The two of us got in the bath, right? But the bath is actually smaller than we thought. So instead of being able to face each other like I imagined, like in some nice rom-com.
Were you back to back?
No, Beatrice. Back to back, no. He was sitting behind me with his legs around me, basically.
Yeah. What were you expecting? Oh, you were expecting to be opposite facing each other? Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, but no, we weren't. We were too big for the bath. The bath's too small. Anyway, get in the bath. He's behind me, I'm in front of him. This is very nice. The water is like disappearing out of the bath at a rate of knots, right? You can imagine it's all going out the drain. Like as our bodies got in, the water all went out. So we're sitting there possibly in about 2 inches of water. It just wasn't that nice, and the two of us were
wasn't that nice. Understatement of the year. It just wasn't that nice.
Not that nice. Like
we're like trapped in this ceramic hell. It wasn't that nice.
Listen, let's just get out. This isn't that comfortable. And then I just found that I could not get out. Our bodies had stuck together like those suckers, the suckers that you get basically our flesh had suctioned together. In pushing all the water out, we'd also pushed out all the air and become suctioned to one another and to the bath. And I remember sitting there, like, we laughed for the first about 2 minutes that we couldn't dislodge ourselves. And then it began to, like, you get this, you start to go very cold where you're like, oh my God, A, I'm going to freeze to death. B, like, this is grotesque. Our French landlord told us not to drink his wine. He's going to come home and find us stuck in his bath.
He'd probably be like, "Well, thank God they did not drink the wine."
I'm just imagining him coming home and finding these two pale Irish people stuck in his claw-footed bath.
He wouldn't care. The wine's still there.
They're very liberal in France, to be fair.
No, the wine is still there. That's what he cares about. And what happened?
Yeah. Well, eventually we got out, so it was like a bit of a damp squib in terms of the climax of the story.
Rosemary, stop using weird words. Seriously. Now, Rosemary, although I do remember watching a video, I was about to say, a movie with Drew Barrymore years ago. And I think it was something with Sam Rockwell and Drew Barrymore. Was it Drew
Charlie's
Barrymore?
Angel?
Was it?
Charlie's Angels.
I don't think so. Like, my eyes are all squinting.
Your eyes are very squinting. Beatrice,
I'm trying to remember really hard, yes.
Tilt the microphone so it's actually at your mouth.
I'm trying to remember really hard, but...
I'm trying to remember really
yeah,
hard.
I'm trying really hard to remember, but was it Charlie's Angels? It felt like more intellectual to me than that, but maybe. But at one point they had like the most amazing sex. Sorry, Mom. In the shower. Like the most amazing. And I remember going, really? Like, it was amazing sex look. Like literally phenomenal. Do people have amazing sex in the shower? Do they?
Not me.
I feel like the shower like negates the ability to have amazing sex. Like, where am I missing out here? Like, what am I missing out on?
You know when you see in movies and they're having sex up against the wall of the shower, right? And anytime,
absolutely, I couldn't do that. Come on.
Sorry, anytime I've been in the shower, if the wall has even touched my body, I've nearly died of freezing cold shock.
If there's a tiny shelf on the wall, I'm like much more comfortable.
What?
A tiny shelf.
What are you talking about?
On. It's more that I can't like. I can't. Oh, like I said, we shall do some more research and come back to you.
We shall not be doing any actual research.
I mean internet research, like you, Rosemary. Like, what is this face? You're literally giving me a Hillary Clinton face. What is this?
What the fuck is a Hillary Clinton face? Very intelligent and powerful.
Oh yes, intelligent, powerful, and extremely certain of her own correctness.
And that was the end of that.
How did you get out? Genuinely, how did you get out of the bath?
With a lot of effort.
Like when you got out of the bath, was it grand? Like, was it like, oh, we're out of the bath, it's grand? Was it a bit like, oh, I'd say no offense, your arse cheek was probably like really red. Were they not like really sore from being stuck to the bath?
I think we were both really cold because like the bath had turned. You know when a bath turns from like delicious to like
the
cold.
Children tell me about it all the time and I'm like, you're fine. It'll be another 5 minutes before I take you out of the bath. They're like, it's really cold, Mom.
Splash around, you'll warm yourselves up.
100%.
Yeah, I think we were a bit cold and a bit embarrassed. And I think, I mean, if anything's going to be a bit of a boner killer on your romantic weekend, that was it. I'm just saying, like, it wasn't sexy.
Have we already been shocked by the term boner killer? Have we?
I don't think I've ever used the term boner killer on the podcast before. It's on the Instagram website on the podcast.
Would you like to explain the term boner killer?
No, I think everybody will understand what boner killer means.
Mom might be listening.
No, everybody knows. I'm not saying it again. Everybody knows this. This is like yesterday when I said to your husband in front of you, Don, are you doing No Nut November? And yet Don burst out laughing and you looked so confused.
I had never heard of it. I genuinely thought you were asking it.
Because I just heard them talking about it.
I genuinely thought you were like saying to the vegetarian in the house, are you excluding nuts from your diet? I was like, it's really mean. He doesn't have a lot to eat in the first place.
Because I just heard on an episode of The High-Low that No Nut November is where men are basically taking the entire month of November where they shall not be ejaculating at all. Oh my God. And then because they're going straight from No Nut November into, oh my God, what are they calling it? Something desperate where basically on the 1st of December you ejaculate once, on the 2nd you ejaculate twice, on the 3rd
December?
No, it's like, I have to.
Double it December?
No, because you go all the way up to 25.
Yeah, but it sounds like every day. Well, you know, Rosemary, you did a really good job of explaining No Nut November. How about you explain boner?
Beatrice, as Mum would say now, you've got very giddy. You've got too giddy and you're being rude.
Rosemary, how about you explain boner killer to somebody like Mom who doesn't know what it is?
Well, Mum, boner is a colloquial slang term for an erection. And killer would be the way you would describe somebody killing or stopping or preventing something. In this instance, we're not actually talking about killing anyone or anything, but it's kind of an exaggerated term to describe something that happens that causes the immediate disappearance or diminishment of said boner. So, for example, if a man has an erection and then his phone rings and he sees, oh, it's my mom, that might be a boner killer. Or if a man has an erection and then all of a sudden realizes that it's time to pick the kids up from school, that might also be a boner killer. So you see, there are plenty of things in life that might kill one's boner. Was that adequate? Would you like me to go on? Would you believe I'm the younger one, like, honestly?
Yes.
You're not very mature for a 42-year-old.
I'm extremely mature. I'm extremely mature. Unfortunately, Daisy the dog came in and wrestled me to the ground during that segment. And I just couldn't respond to any intelligent manner, which I would have liked to have responded. Please continue, Rosemary. So, Rosemary.
Yes, Beatrice.
Next.
What things do you find kill your boner?
Rosemary, I'd say basically everything. Exhaustion.
Oxygen.
My kids.
Oxygen, light,
life,
air.
Work. The fact that it's 7 p.m. The fact that it's 7 a.m.
Sorry, I was like, it's not 7 p.m, is it?
Oh, no,
so
it's way later than that. It's 7 p.m. The fact that it's 7 a.m. I'm like, not in the morning, not in the evening.
The sun rising in the east, the sun setting in the west.
I don't know when is a good time. A good time is when I am all by myself with no children, plenty of time to peruse the interweb, and then plenty of time after that. You, Rosemary?
Very little kills my boner, to be honest.
Oh, that is not true.
Anyway, listen, let's get back to our bodies letting us down.
Oh my God. You just let me answer that and then you didn't answer it yourself. Okay, fine. Well, I would like to say, is it actually your body letting you down, or is it, I mean, in the case of that, was it that my body let me down, or that rock surprised me, in fairness to me, on the Aran Islands, right?
Well,
was it that my body, or like, was it more your body?
Okay.
Right?
Was the rock camouflaged?
Yes. It looked like a small flower. No, it genuinely was.
It's
it
not
was like,
visible to the naked eye.
No, it genuinely was. It was under the grass. It was
the rock you tripped on.
Yes,
Okay, I get
yes. It's like the massive standing rock
Right.
was not
I thought that's what you meant.
Please.
Basically, I have often thought that if you're somebody who's like really coordinated, that when these things happen, you would, because you know those moments where you fall and you feel yourself falling.
Okay, no, I object to this. This is victim blaming, Rosemary, because I'd like to go all the way back. I'd like to travel back in time with you to the year 1990 when things were happening in culture that I can't remember. And I suspect that movie, Back to the Future, was 3 years old, but I'm not sure. Anyway, I went to Mass with Mom one morning. All those things had nothing to do with this story.
Yeah, okay, go on.
I went to Mass with Mom one morning in Ardclough. Is that County Dublin or County Kildare?
Kildare.
County Kildare.
Can't believe you don't know
And
that.
I went into what was the newly built church.
Oh, God.
Yes, Rosemary. And I went to the newly built church at... Thanks for laughing. Thanks, Rosemary. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
And I was... Oh, you've all seen me if you've looked at our Instagram website. www.instagram. Never mind. Not without my sister. Okay. Not without my sister on Instagram, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And on there, you will see beautiful pictures of me with extremely frizzy hair and dungarees. And you know what? I'd like to say that I was accountable for those clothes, but you know, I was, and also I wasn't. It's Mom's fault. Anyway,
The point was she was very tall.
Very tall, very large, very frizzy, all those things. into church. Go to church, come out of church.
She's gone to mass to pray to be shorter.
Yes. And mother was chatting to the neighbour, as was her wont, as is her wont today. And she's chat. And like, you're waiting to get into the car, but like, you're not getting into the car because mom's still chatting to the neighbour. And so I was running back and forth on the cattle grid, which for those of us not in the know.
I'd say jogging.
Oh, no. I'm like sort of more like, I meant like jumping back and forth, walking back and forth. For those not in the know, in towns where there are animals, like where it's a country town, there's a cattle grid, right, on the driveway, right? And so this cattle grid is a number of poles that are laid out, and it's to prevent animals from crossing into, like, I don't know why they would be so afraid of animals in the church, but anyway, afraid of animals in the church. So this
eating their floral arrangements.
Is that what it's for?
Don't know.
I thought it was more like they were afraid that animals would storm the church. Whatever. I don't even know.
Like an animal farm.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about. Anyway, so a cattle grid. And I was walking back and forth. And these poles also, they roll within the grid. So like it's kind of interesting for kids. You're playing with it. And as you push it with your foot, the pole rolls and it's fun or whatever.
I think you call them bars, wouldn't you?
Yeah, probably the bars.
Go on,
bars, yeah, bars. And Mom was chatting down with the neighbour at her car, and I'm about 10 feet away from her, like not miles at all. Anyway, and I was walking back and forth across the grid, and the priest came out of the church and he screamed. He was like, "Get off that cattle grid!" And I got such a fright that I jumped, right? Like I literally jumped with the shock, and and like that loosening, whatever you would call it, like what would you call it, Rosemary? The misstep, whatever, like just the shock. Like I just jumped and I lost my footing, and I slid down between the two. Like I literally just landed plonk between the poles, between those bars that Rosemary was mentioning, and I couldn't get out. Right, that was the worst thing. Like I was stuck. I was now stuck in the cattle grid. Thanks, Rosemary, for laughing. I was stuck in the cattle grid. And I was there and I was screaming and I was crying for help. Nobody heard me. And like then Mom came about 10 minutes. She came looking for me because she wanted to go home. And she's like, "Oh my God." And then she couldn't get me out. She couldn't even pull me out herself because I couldn't get out because like they were so slippy and they rolled, So
what did she have to do?
She went and got a neighbour and like the two of them came out and pulled me out of the cattle grid and put me in the car, and like off they drove home. And I was literally like so bruised on my legs, right? So bruised. It was desperate, so embarrassing. But honestly, like if I was a good Catholic before, which I wasn't necessarily, I was never a good Catholic again because I actually was so horrified that this priest came out and shouted at me, with such aggression,
such unnecessary, like, what are you doing wrong? Nothing.
Like, what's the problem? Nothing. Like, you literally, there's a kid out there running back. I mean,
that kid is having fun.
It's one thing to come out and say, "Hey, hey kid,
be careful."
Yeah, be careful. It's another thing to come out and just be like, "Get off the cattle grid," which is exactly what he did. And I got, and therefore was the, reason that I fell and like hurt myself so badly. But anyway, it was extremely embarrassing. And I remember afterwards, for about 4 or 5 weeks, I had massive bruises on my legs, like massive, huge black and blue. And it was really shocking though. What age was I? Maybe 9. It was hugely shocking to me as a child to have, I really felt like violence had been visited on me, which is probably really ridiculous. But I really did feel like this was massive aggression, out of nowhere.
By this priest. Kind of.
I did. No, I absolutely did.
But you blamed him like at the time, yeah.
I didn't blame just him, but I certainly never, I was shocked by him. I was terrified by him, and I'd never even encountered him before in my life.
You never went to mass again?
Went to mass all the time after that. Like, I certainly did go to mass again. But I mean, I never went to mass willingly. I never went to mass willingly before that. So it wasn't new news.
Yeah. It didn't change anything. I'm trying to think, like, was there anything, like, nothing like that ever happened to me, I don't think, where I ever got stuck or like, I remember a friend of mine was climbing over a fence at one point and slipped, and part of the fence bar went like into her, basically her glute muscle.
What?
Yeah. And basically they had to like, I think she was with her friend. Her friend had to go and get help, and somebody had to come basically lift her off. Like, she was basically speared
my God.
on the fence. Horrific.
But Rosemary, have you never fallen or... You've fallen many times.
I've fallen many times. I already talked about that.
But have you not like broken limbs and like...
I said that when I went to get the takeaway menu. Broke my arm in 2 places.
I'm aware of that. But have you not... I feel like all my life growing up, you were always breaking arms and breaking legs and breaking this and breaking that. Like, have you not also like fallen on the path on the way home? And
this is very unfair. I broke my arm falling off the back of a chair in Mum's friend's house when I was very young and had to have a sling, but I broke my arm up near the shoulder and I couldn't have a plaster cast, so nobody in my class believed I'd actually broken my arm, which was very annoying. Because you know when you break something, you want to have a plaster cast so everyone can sign it or something when you're a kid.
Yeah, 100%.
So then the next time I broke my arm, that was when I was 19, getting the takeaway menu for me and Dad didn't believe me. Like, it bruised the bone. That was the second time. Dr. Dad. Since then, there have been, like, I was on a yoga retreat in Crete and we were doing this big day-long hike, and literally in the last 20 minutes of the hike I slipped, skidded down this little hill, cut my leg basically from ankle to knee, like really just like really bad grazing, you know what I mean, like the whole front of my leg, the skin was gone. And this Russian couple stopped and offered to help me, but they didn't speak very good English, and they took out this like iodine to like put on my cut, and I was literally like, get away from me, that's gonna sting. And they were like, no, not sting. We try on children. Fine. They were really, really nice. They saved my life.
Did it sting?
No.
Oh.
But then like another time, basically for about the past 8 years, at the start of every summer, I have fallen and grazed that exact same shin. Last year it was at your pool when I tripped over my sandal.
You did?
Yeah, and like cut my knee and grazed my shin. The year before, I think it was when I was on the yoga retreat. The year before that, I was crossing the road outside my house in Dublin, slipped off the side of my ankle, and it was on it was on my second date with this guy. I was wearing a denim dress above the knee. I slipped, skidded, like tore my entire shin up, and he laughed, and then I was like,
was he laughing at the like shin or the skirt?
I think my skirt had gone. I was also wearing like anti-chub rub shorts under the skirt. So the skirt had gone up.
Oh my God.
Actually to my nips. The shorts were on show. I'd tumbled and rolled around on the ground several times.
Oh, our father loves a good tumble, doesn't he?
Oh, he loves a good tumble.
I mean, I'd like to say I vaguely remember. I would not call Philip McCabe athletic. Would you, Rosemary?
I would not, but he did read once that when you fall, you should roll with it. And so he's a good faller now. He rolls with it.
I remember at one point he fell. Because when you walk towards our front door in our house in Ireland, there's like a small stone, what's it called?
Path?
No, there's a small stone wall. There's a mini stone wall outside it. And I remember he tripped over the stone wall. And instead of just falling like flat like I would have, he fell, tumbled, and like landed in a standing position. And literally, I've never heard the end of this. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. You just make sure you fall, you roll, and you stand up again.
It's all very well falling like over a stone wall onto grass. I doubt he'd be like tumbling and into a standing position if he fell on Parnell Street. Like,
oh my God. I really don't want Dad to hurt himself, but I would love to see that.
There is actually nothing worse though than somebody falling like when you're with them, because I mean, I don't know about you, maybe you're nicer than I am. I always just laugh.
Rosemary, I'm so much nicer than you are. I never laugh ever.
Although I didn't laugh that time that I tripped you up in the
yes,
sitting room.
You did.
No, I didn't.
Rosemary, you were so busy grunting with like Jean-Paul, whatever his name is, Mania. What's his name?
What?
What's that Mr. Universe guy's name? I even follow him on Instagram and I don't know his name. Oh, what's his name?
What are you talking about?
It's not The Rock. It's the other guy.
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yes!
I was like, what has he got to do with it?
Jean-Paul Van Damme. Yes. Oh, I actually want to say that, all jokes aside, have you ever seen Jean-Claude Van Damme's amazing takeoff? I always get this wrong. It's either Jean-Claude Van Damme or who's the guy who always wears who's the American guy who wears the camouflage? Chuck Norris. Jean-Claude Van Damme versus Chuck Norris. Have you ever seen that? One of them does an amazing... I think it's Jean-Claude Van Damme does the amazing thing on trucks where he, in real life, like puts one leg on either truck.
Oh, and they drive along?
And is then driven along, and like his legs, the trucks move wider apart and his legs, like he does the splits. And then Chuck Norris took the piss out of him by going on planes, allegedly. And like, he's one leg on either plane. And he's like, have you ever seen that? No. It is amazing. And it's
Put
so
it in
good.
The show notes.
I was talking about it so much in the office that for my birthday, for my birthday card, one of the girls on the, I wish I still had this card. I'm sure I do still have it. I wish I knew where it was. One of the girls on the print team did me a card of like a Chuck Norris birthday card. And it is so amazing.
I doubt he falls very often.
We will let the people decide.
Let the people decide. Tell us about your physical calamities. The times that your body has let you down. Have you fallen face first into a standing rock?
Or are you as amazing as Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Famous chicken. Never falls.
And Clucky Norris. Are you that
Norris.
amazing?
Thank you so much for listening to Not Without My Sister. You can find us on Instagram at Not Without My Sister and individually at Rosemary McCabe and Beatrice McCabe with A's in our Mac. Our website's notwithoutmysis.com. If you have any comments, critiques, if you have any critiques, send them to us on Gmail privately, notwithoutmysis@gmail.com.
No, sorry. Send them to Rosemary privately, please.
Well, I'm the only one with access to the email, so that's
okay,
the same thing. But if you have any compliments, please leave them on iTunes.
Recommend us to your friends, colleagues, countrymen.
Nobles.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Not Without My Sister is produced by Liam Garrity. Sound and original music by Don Kirkland, and our original illustration is by Lindsay Nielsen.
Not Without My Sister is a member of The Warren, the home of great Irish podcasts. You'll find more great shows at thewarren.ie.